Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm showing up to talk about the video I did last, and that was asking people, okay, everybody's so unhappy about so many things, well, what can we do? How can we enact a peaceful protest that would be effective and that people would take part in, and that would get our, our needs met? So, a lot of people sent some great ideas, and I just kind of was glamming them all together into a plan of action if we actually wanted to do something. One of the things that comes up a lot is that, like, for a plan of action to take place or protest, there has to be a demand met. There has to be a change made for it to be effective. So I think it's really good to understand what it is we want. Like, for instance, one of the things that came up a lot that people suggested was that it couldn't just be one day. It had to be like weekly, like the same day every week to be effective. And what also came up a lot was there's a lot of people that have a unified feeling that we're losing our freedoms and the Constitution is being usurped, but also have separate passions. Like mine and Star Jade is Codex, and then Susan over Quantum Solutions, she's working with Jane Burgermeister, really working on stopping the vaccine from being forced. It's like we're all supporting each other, but everybody has their own certain passion, and they're all valid agendas. And so the weekly thing really seemed to work because we have a lot of things that we need to change peacefully. And so here are some of the ideas glommed together that I thought if people really wanted to, besides talking about it and sharing about it and complaining about it, join together and make a difference, that we could maybe start here. And I know there's some people, I think a lot of us would get involved, which is a big part of it, right? So I thought in general, if we could do a video on Monday about whatever it was that we wanted to change that week, and then all of us make it viral, and then on Friday take whatever action was needed, whether it was phone calls or peaceful protesting, or for instance going to the sheriffs to talk about not having forced vaccinations, which I think would be a first agenda item. It would start to take on a life of its own as each Friday something happened. Like, for instance, another one that came up a lot was like suck the blood out of the system by refusing to give them cash. In other words, make your statement about ending the Fed and not supporting big, huge corporations that have gotten bailouts over the people of America by not supporting them any longer, pulling all your money out of the bank. So however we decide to enact that, we could decide, make it viral, and then on Friday again, perhaps all of us go take our money out of the bank if that's what we decided to do. So that we started to hear our voices, and when they said, well, what do you want? Well, what is it that we want? That's the other thing we have to be clear about, right? Once we get our voices here and they're like, well, what do you want then? Well, what do you want? You want to end the Fed? You want money back from the banks? What is it that we want? Because you need to be clear. So that's another thing. Like, how do we know we're having our demands met? When will we know that we're like, wow, we made a difference? Okay, what are we looking for in the change? Okay, I think we have to be very clear. Like with H1N1, I can easily say we want them to outlaw forced vaccinations. So therefore, we have a choice. Okay, add whatever you want. Feedback. That's why I'm throwing it out here today. And let me see. The third thing that came up a lot was that people thought that we should protest down at the news stations and get them to demand that they start reporting the real news, that we don't have to just go to YouTube and alternative sources like, Russian news or the Associated Press or any of the European sites to get news, to get real news. I'm sorry about this. Associated Press is probably not real news, but to protest right at the news channels themselves, and to call out certain and to call out certain newscasters too by name, and demand that they are accountable for telling us the truth and reporting on, for instance, H1N1 and that video that went viral with that military girl that said she was in training and showed the RFID chips and all that. That, a lot of people said that was fear-mongering, But as far as I know, that hasn't been disproven or shown to be disinfo at all. So until that shows up, then we have somebody in the military and or CHP pretty much telling us that they are planning on that. So I think that our first order of business would be, as I said, going to talk to the sheriffs. So back to the fourth thing, a lot of people want to protect their gun rights in the Second Amendment, and gun confiscation is something that's really batted around. And so maybe on the fourth week, to support the Second Amendment, we could have a Buy Guns and Ammo campaign. That is a peaceful protest, of way of saying we are supporting the Second Amendment. And for all the people like me that are, really support the most peaceful approach possible, if you don't want to buy guns and ammo, if that doesn't feel good to you, then perhaps you'd feel comfortable going in, at least signing up for a permit or getting your license for a gun to show you solidarity, even if you never plan on owning a gun, just so we're all on the same page. So that, again, we would need to be clear, whatever we choose to combat, whether it's codex, which I would like to see us all unite to do next, and perhaps boycott GMO foods. That would be wonderful. But we need to get on the same page so we understand, like, we're boycotting GMO foods because we want them to be forced to, what? Label GMO foods, and to abolish Codex Alimentarius, and to, we have to have an agenda, and we have to have a goal that we want to reach if we want to be effective. And what I'm saying is, I'm open for all this, and there's a lot of great bloggers on YouTube that have already committed to being, behind this if we want to, get the ball rolling and try and enact real change and not just talk about it. And, Tim Lauder has a great link, and I'll link that for you, where you can file a suit against the government for being unconstitutional and for doing things that are wrong and that need to be changed. And that's totally legal, and we can do that. And so, a lot of people will be like, well, don't get caught up in fear-mongering and stuff. And I just want to say, I don't think there's any fear involved. I think that as a logical person, if you take a look at events and you deem them to be true and accurate, then it's only smart not to be a victim and to take action. And right now, we still have all our rights and everything's good, And if the things that we're looking at that are coming and closing in on us, we want to change or stop, well, then we can do it. So, I'm just sending it out here to see, if I can get feedback, what you guys think of that united plan that I mostly got from you, and if you'll back it, and if you would do it. Everything seems pretty doable, and do you want to bother? I mean, if I get enough people saying, yeah, Lynn, I'll back you up on this, then I'll do my best to get everybody I know involved and see if we can make some really great positive change with nonviolence, and that would be a wonderful thing, right? Why not? Instead of watching another TV show or whatnot. And on top of that, Vocalbrush's latest video, I just wanted to say about the water they got shut off in California. We need to help the farmers. These are all things we need to do. It's we don't need to import our food. It's ridiculous. It's just part of the whole Codex plan anyway. That's what I'm thinking. But and finally, to just leave you on this Saturday night, if you guys have nothing to do, please go rent 300 if you haven't seen it, because it's really inspiring and I think very heartening to us, because it's the story about how the Persians that had millions in their army tried to take over Greece, and just a handful of Spartans, 300 brave men, went to hold off these millions. And even in the face of certain death, and it was, when the king of Persia was laughing at the king of Sparta, saying, don't you understand? I have millions in my army. You don't stand a chance. And King Leonidas looked right back at him and said, don't you understand? We are free men here, defending our land. It was amazing. So we don't have to pull out swords and shields yet. We can make a stand in other creative ways. And so let me know if you want to do it, guys, because I'm in.